Welcome back, prep.3, to our second lessons in our programming language, which is visualbasic.net. And let's start with the declaration of the constant and the variables. Constant and the variables declaration. When we declarate about constant, which is fixed value, we start with the word const, and then we put the constant name, and then we determine the data type, which is a string because it is a text, and we put a text between two quotations. Another example, here we declarate a fixed value, which is 22 divided 7 or 303.14. This is the value of pi to calculate the area of the circle, so it is fixed value. So start with the word const, then put the constant name, then determine the data type, because we write here single because it contains fraction or decimal. Another example, if we have a fixed value which is date and it is not changed by the user, so we start with the word const, then write the constant name here like the birth date because it's fixed, so then determine the data type, which is date. Then we put equal sign here because we have the assignment and also we have the value, so it is called assignment statement. Then the other example, which is variable, when we declare a variable or unknown value that will be entered by the user, we start with the word them. So we start with them, then we write the variable name, which is unknown and entered by the user, then determine the data type. Like this example, the first one is to call or declare a text. We start with them, then the variable name, then the data type here is string, so the user should enter only a text in the text box in the form. And also here the user should enter a price, and maybe it contains fraction, so the data type here is single. And the last one for a date, so we declare it by the word them and then put date because this is the data type and this is optional, that can be changed. So let's do a practical project to understand more about the constant and the variable as the following. This form or application is to calculate the area and the circumference of circle. This is the text box. If I write any number here, this is variable or entered by the changed value or entered by the user, like any number. If I click on the button area, so the result will be shown here. This is the area of the circle and also the circumference of the circle. If I click on this button, so the program will calculate the circumference of circle and the result will be shown here on this label. Let's see how do we do that. This is the design window. It contains label 1, which shows enter radius for the user to enter the number here, label 2 to show the result after calculate the area of the circumference of circle, and two buttons, button 1 and button 2. Button 1 to calculate the circumference of circle, button 2 to calculate the area of the circle. Let's see the code window to learn how can we calculate that. If I want to do the coding for this button, so double click on it or select it and press F7 from the keyboard. That will be shown to me. So this is private sub related to, or the code window that related to button 1. So first of all, we have to declare the variable and the constant in my form. The variable here is the radius, because it is unknown value that the user enter here, any number. So start with the word dim because it's a variable. The variable is radius because it will be entered by the user. Then what is the data type here? It is single because it contains fraction. Then we declare the constant, which is by we know the value of it, which is fixed, and it is the data type here is single, which is 22 divided 7 after the equal sign. We have finished here the declaration for the variable and the constant. Then determine for the user where should the user enter the radius. Where should the radius number be entered here? In this text box. So we determine the variable or the radius. It shall be entered here in this text box. So this assignment statement to determine to the user where should they enter the radius in the text box 1, and the property is text. The result shall be shown in label 2, which is here. Label 2 shows to us the result. So label 2.text equal, this is the rule to calculate the circumference of the circle by radius power 2. So now we can calculate the circumference of the circle by doing this coding to declare them first, then determine the places should the user enter and get the result and enter the value of the radius. Also the same for the area, but the different here is the rule. The rule here is different because it is pi by radius, pi 2 instead of power 2, but all the same. Like button 1, we declare the variable, which is radius. We declare the constant, which is pi, fixed values here. We determine the places for the value that the user should enter for the radius, and where the result will be shown, like here, as we did here. As we have the form or the application, any number the user will enter here and then click on button 1. The user can get here the circumference of the circle, and also the same by click on area, the user can get the result of the calculation, the area of the circle. Thank you for listening to our lesson today. We can do like this project to understand more about the programming language, even in the code window, by doing these steps. Thank you and see you soon. Goodbye.